The caregiver sang softly to the old man, not knowing someone was watching, a man who would soon change her life forever. "Room 208, Mr. Raymond," the nurse said, barely glancing up. "Don't expect a response," she added. "He hasn't spoken in months. His vitals are fine, but he's just not there." Judy nodded quietly and pulled her cardigan tighter around her small frame. The hospital smelled like cleaning supplies and rain, sharp, cold, and a little like metal. Thunder rolled outside as she pushed open the door to the dark, quiet room. Inside, the air felt heavy. Mr. Raymond lay still in the bed by the window. He looked like he was in his late 70s or 80s. Silver hair, deep lines on his face, eyes open but blank. He wasn't looking at anything. Not the ceiling, not her, not even the rain sliding down the glass. Just nothing. Judy stood still for a second. She was only 24, barely over 5 feet tall, with blonde hair and a soft presence. Her life used to be filled with music and laughter, not hospital rooms and silent patients. Just 2 years ago, she was singing in smoky jazz clubs and bars, her voice floating above the clink of glasses and murmured conversations. Now, she worked night shifts as a caregiver. Her music, her dream, was packed away like an old toy she didn't have time for anymore. She walked to the bedside and gently placed her hand over his. His skin felt cold. "I probably can't hear me," she whispered. "But I used to sing. My dad always said music made people feel less alone." She paused, searching his face for a sign. Nothing. The machines beeped behind her, like a ticking clock, steady and emotionless. She sat in the chair beside his bed, leaned forward, took a deep breath, and began to sing. "Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking." Her voice trembled at first, but it was warm, honest. Each note gently filled the quiet room, like a soft light in the dark. As she kept singing, her voice grew stronger, even while tears gathered in her eyes. Outside the door, someone had stopped. Logan Raymond, mid-30s, wealthy, powerful, always distant, stood just beyond the hallway. No one expected warmth from Logan. He paid bills, signed forms, and stayed away. He rarely visited his father's room, just dropped off papers and left. But tonight, something pulled him in. That voice. Not loud, not fancy, just real, full of feeling. He leaned closer, peeking through the crack in the door. And there she was, a young woman with hair like golden wheat, singing to his father like he mattered, like he was still someone. Logan swallowed hard. His father had been a musician once, a quiet, serious violinist. Their home was always filled with music, but not love. After Logan's mother died, he and his father stopped talking, both choosing silence. But this girl, this stranger, was doing what Logan never could, reaching him. Judy didn't know she was being watched. She kept singing. "You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile." She let the last note hang in the air, then gently squeezed Mr. Raymond's hand. Still nothing. Still silent. But she offered him a small smile anyway, and stood to leave. In the hallway, Logan stepped back, blending into the shadows as she passed. She didn't see him. He stayed a moment longer, then walked inside. His father hadn't moved, but something felt different now. Warmer, brighter. Logan sat in the chair Judy had just left, staring at the man he hadn't understood for most of his life. "I don't know who she is," he said quietly. "But she saw something in you I gave up on a long time ago." Rain tapped on the windows like a soft beat to a song that hadn't really ended. And for the first time in years, Logan stayed. Before late-night shifts in hospital halls, Judy's life had been music. At 21, she sang in cozy jazz clubs with low lighting and old pianos. Her voice had a way of wrapping around people, making them pause and listen. Her favorite place was a little club called Velvet Moon. She never cared about fame, only about singing songs that meant something. Then came Darren. He was older, charming, smooth-talking, said he'd help her make it big, promised studio time, gigs, everything. He became her manager, her boyfriend, her whole world. Until one night, he vanished. She came home to find everything gone. No note, no suitcase, her guitar was missing, her bank account wiped clean. Just like that, her world fell apart. No more music, no more dreams, just silence, bills, and a broken heart. Desperate for work, she took a job through a neighbor who worked at a care facility. 1 week turned into months. She never told anyone about her past, and no one asked. She never sang. Not until Mr. Raymond. He reminded her of her dad, the way he lay there, so still, so far away. Her father had passed in a hospital room just like this one. She didn't make it in time to say goodbye. That pain never left her. So when she saw Mr. Raymond, something stirred deep inside. Without thinking, she sang. It wasn't planned, it wasn't perfect, but it was hers. Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. She sang like she was reaching out across an invisible ocean, hoping he might hear her wherever he was. She didn't expect a response, and she got none. But for the first time in forever, her voice mattered again. She walked out feeling a little lighter, not knowing someone else had heard her too. Someone who would never forget it. Logan Raymond, 33, had it all on paper. CEO of a booming tech company, a skyline penthouse, designer suits, an overbooked calendar. But no warmth, no peace. Not even at his mom's funeral did he cry. His childhood was filled with music, not love. His father toured the world with his violin. He spent his days alone, his mother the only warmth in his world. She sang to him, whispered lullabies, told him he loves you, he just doesn't know how to show it. Then she died. Logan was 12. His dad came home 2 days late for the funeral. That broke everything. They barely spoke after that. When his father collapsed from a stroke nearly a year ago, Logan paid for the best care, but never went into the room. What was there to say? Until that night, he was walking past the room, just dropping off forms. Then he heard her. Her voice stopped him cold. She was singing his mother's favorite song, Smile, the one she used to hum when he couldn't sleep, the one his dad once played the night before his last tour. He hadn't heard that song in over 20 years. But that night, that voice broke through everything. He stood there in the hall long after the song ended, couldn't sleep that night, came back the next, still didn't go in, but he stood there every night. She sang something new each time, old jazz songs, gentle lullabies. Her voice wasn't perfect, but it was real. It sounded like home, not the mansion he grew up in. A real home, the kind he always dreamed about. She never saw him, or so he thought, until one night he came late. She was saying goodnight to his dad, tucking in the blankets. When she turned, they both froze. I'm sorry. Was I too loud? Logan shook his head. No, you weren't. She looked nervous. It's past visiting hours. I usually don't sing this late. He looked into her eyes. Don't stop. What? Don't stop singing. Your voice, it brings him back. She softened. I'm not sure he hears me. I really think he does. There was a pause. I've seen you, she said gently. Most nights outside the door. Logan smiled slightly. Yeah, that's me, the quiet lurker. She laughed. I'm Logan, by the way. I know, she smiled.
The nurses talk. And you are? Judy. Nice to finally meet you. They stood in the quiet hallway longer than expected. You used to sing professionally, didn't you? Logan asked. How'd you guess? Your voice. She nodded slowly. Yeah, a few years ago. What happened? She looked down. Life? Bills? A broken heart. He didn't push. Instead, he looked toward the room. My dad used to play violin. Toured everywhere. I didn't get it back then. Thought he cared more about music than me. After my mom died, we just stopped talking. It was easier. She listened. But you're here now, she whispered. I wasn't. Not until you sang. Judy's breath caught. Then Logan looked at her and said, I want to try something. Something crazy. She raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. I want you to teach me a song. One of those you sing to him. I want to sing for my dad. Just once. Her eyes widened. You want me to teach you to sing? Why not? You already woke something up in him. Maybe if he hears it from me. Judy looked at him for a long moment, then smiled. All right, she said, but I'm a tough teacher. I think I can handle that. They both smiled, two strangers who had been walking in circles around each other for far too long, finally stepping into the same space. And that night, something truly special began. The sun was setting behind soft clouds, casting a golden light through the hospital windows. Judy sat beside Mr. Raymond's bed, gently adjusting his blanket. Her voice had become a part of the room now, like the hum of the monitors or the rustle of the curtains. She didn't expect miracles. She just hoped her songs made the silence feel a little less heavy. Then the door opened. It was Logan, dressed down for once, no sharp suit, just jeans and a navy sweater. Still looked like a man used to control, but his eyes had changed. Softer, lighter. He carried a guitar case. I borrowed it from the rec room, he said, a little embarrassed. Judy grinned. Are you really doing this? I said I would. She motioned to the chair. Then sit down, student. Class is in session. Over the next few days, Judy taught him simple chords, helped him find his voice, not just technically, but emotionally. Logan was stiff at first, his voice unsure, but she was patient. Forget perfect, she told him. Sing like you're speaking to someone you miss. He looked at his father. I am. By the end of the week, he could play a full song. Not flawlessly, but with heart. That Friday, the care facility hosted a small gathering for the residents in the main hall. Tea, cookies, and soft music. Nothing fancy, just something to make them feel seen. Judy usually avoided these events, but this time, she was asked to sing. Just one song, the nurse smiled. You've been the talk of the halls. Judy blushed. When she stepped up to the small corner stage with the mic, the room fell quiet. Residents sat in wheelchairs and soft chairs, nurses nearby. Logan stood near the back, watching. Then she began. At last, my love has come along. Her voice filled the room like sunshine, gentle, beautiful. She sang like she was telling a story, one only she could tell. Tears welled up in the eyes of a woman in the front row. A man in his 80s nodded along with the beat. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Judy felt alive, like she was doing what she was born to do. When the song ended, the room erupted in soft claps and smiles. Then Logan stepped forward. "Can I join you for one?" Judy looked surprised, but nodded. He pulled up a stool beside her and sat with the guitar, his hands a little shaky. "I'm not a singer," he told the crowd with a sheepish grin, "but this one's for someone important." He glanced at his father, who had been wheeled into the back of the room by a nurse. Mr. Raymond's eyes stared ahead, blank as ever. But Logan looked at him as if he were listening. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." His voice cracked on the second line, but he kept going. Judy joined in softly, guiding him with harmonies. By the second verse, the room was completely still. Even Mr. Raymond blinked, slowly. When the song ended, no one clapped. They just sat in quiet awe. Then, something happened. Mr. Raymond's lips parted, and in a voice dry and weak, he whispered one word. "Logan." Gasps filled the room. Judy's hands flew to her mouth. Logan froze. "Dad?" he said, his voice breaking. Mr. Raymond's hand twitched. Then, slowly, it lifted. Just barely. Logan rushed to his side and took it, tears falling freely now. "Dad, I'm here. I'm right here." The whole room watched, breathless. A miracle had happened. Not from machines, not from medicine, but from music and love, and a song that finally reached a heart long locked away. That night, as Judy packed up to leave, Logan caught up with her outside. He looked like he'd been crying and smiling for hours. "He said my name," he whispered. "I heard," Judy nodded, eyes shining. Logan stepped closer. "I don't know how to thank you." "You already did," she said softly. He paused. Would you have dinner with me sometime?" Judy blinked. "Dinner? Just something simple. Coffee, even." She smiled. "Are you always this smooth?" "No," he laughed. "I'm usually worse." She looked up at him, wind tugging at her hair. "Okay, coffee. One condition." "Anything." "You keep singing." He chuckled. "Deal." They stood there, in the glow of the streetlight, something new beginning between them. Quiet, gentle, and full of hope. The common room was quiet that night. Most of the residents were asleep. The lights were low, casting soft shadows on the floor. Judy sat on the old couch near the dusty piano, flipping through a folder of song sheets. She looked tired, but peaceful. Logan walked in, holding 2 cups of tea. "I brought back up," he said with a smile, handing her one. She grinned. "You're learning." He sat beside her, shoulder brushing hers. "I was thinking, maybe we try something different tonight." She raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" "I want to sing something for you. Not my dad, just you." Judy blinked. "Me?" Logan nodded. "I've been working on it, secretly. Practicing in the car, in the mirror. It's not great, but it's real." Judy set down her tea slowly, her heart skipping. "Okay," she said softly. "I'm listening." Logan pulled out a crumpled sheet of paper and took a shaky breath. Then he began. "When I fall in love, it will be forever." His voice was low, a little rough, but honest. Each word felt like it came straight from his chest, not just his throat.
Judy watched, frozen as he sang, eyes locked on hers, as if there was no one else in the world. And the moment I can feel that you feel that way too. He paused, swallowing hard, is when I fall in love with you. The last note trembled slightly, then silence. Logan stared at her, breathless. I meant every word, every single one. Judy didn't speak. Her eyes shimmered. I never thought I'd feel this way again. Not after everything. Not after my dad, my past, the mess I carry around. But then you came along, with that voice, with that heart, and suddenly, I'm not lost anymore. Judy covered her mouth, stunned. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But when I sing with you, when I sit in this room, it feels like home. And I haven't felt that in a long time. A tear slid down Judy's cheek. Logan, you don't have to say anything, he added quickly. I just needed you to know. That song, it's not just lyrics. It's my heart. And it's yours if you want it. Judy reached for his hand, slowly, like she was still unsure this moment was real. I've been afraid to feel anything real again, ever since I lost everything. But then you kept showing up. You remembered little things. You listened. And tonight, you sang. He smiled softly. Badly. No, she said, squeezing his hand. Beautifully. They sat there for a long time, fingers tangled, hearts open. Outside, the rain began to fall lightly, tapping against the windows like a rhythm only they could hear. In that quiet room full of forgotten memories and soft echoes, Judy and Logan found something new, something fragile, but real. It wasn't just a confession, it was a beginning. The coffee shop was warm, filled with soft music and the smell of fresh pastries. Judy sat by the window, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea, eyes on the door. Logan walked in, his coat damp from the rain. His face was serious, too serious. Judy felt her stomach twist. He sat across from her. Neither of them spoke at first. Then he said it. I got an offer. Switzerland. A 3-year role. Big merger. It's everything I worked for. Judy nodded slowly. Wow, that's amazing. I haven't said yes quickly. I wanted to talk to you first. She gave him a small smile, the kind that didn't reach her eyes. You don't need my permission. I need your truth, he said. What do you want me to do? Judy looked down at her hands. Her heart was pounding. She wanted to tell him to stay. She wanted to say, don't go. We just found this us. But instead, she said, this is your dream, Logan. You should go. He watched her, searching for something in her face. But what about us? Her voice cracked. Maybe we were never meant to last forever. Maybe we were just a beautiful pause. Logan's jaw tightened. Don't say that. Judy blinked quickly, fighting the tears. I'm proud of you. Truly. But this is your world. I don't belong in boardrooms and flights across oceans. You belong with me, he said, almost in a whisper. She smiled sadly. We were always borrowed time, weren't we? There was a long silence. Then Judy reached across the table and placed her hand over his. No matter where you go, she said, her voice gentle, I'll hear your voice in the quiet, and I'll carry your song with me, always. Logan didn't argue, didn't beg. Instead, he just nodded, eyes full of things he couldn't say. The next day, Logan packed his things. He left most of his clothes in storage, took only the basics, and one folded lyric sheet Judy had scribbled on during their lessons. Before heading to the airport, he made one last stop. Room 208. The halls were quiet, the lights low. Henry lay in his bed, eyes closed, monitors beeping softly beside him. Logan sat beside him, holding that crumpled paper. He took a breath and began to sing. Smile though your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. Every note was a goodbye. Every word held the weight of love, of regret, of something finally healing. When he finished, his voice broke. I don't know if you can hear me, Dad, but I meant it. All of it. I'm sorry it took so long. He stood up, brushed a hand over Henry's, and whispered, "Good guy." Then he turned and walked out. What he didn't see, what he would never forget, was that the moment he left the room, Henry's eyes fluttered open, and for the first time in over a year, he spoke.
Logan? But Logan was already gone. The next morning, the care facility buzzed with quiet surprise. Henry Raymond, the man who hadn't spoken or moved in nearly a year, was awake. The night nurse nearly dropped her clipboard when she saw him. His eyes were open, calm, and clear. He followed her movements with slow, careful attention. And then, as if trying out a word that had waited too long on his tongue, he whispered, "Logan." It wasn't loud, but it was real, and it was everything. The nurse rushed to call the doctor. Within minutes, the room filled with staff checking vitals, flashing lights into his pupils, asking questions. Henry didn't answer them all, but he stayed awake, watching, aware. Across the building, Judy heard the news and came running. She burst into room 208, breathless, tears already welling in her eyes. Henry turned his head slowly and looked at her. His lips curved into the faintest smile. "You're back," she whispered, sinking to her knees beside him. "You're really back." He didn't say anything, but the light in his eyes said enough. Later that morning, after the doctors cleared the room, Judy stepped outside into the hallway and pulled out her phone. Her hands shook as she dialed Logan. He answered on the second ring. "Judy?" "Logan," she said, barely able to breathe. "Your father, he said your name." There was silence on the other end, then a stunned whisper. "I don't understand." "He's awake," she said softly. "He's here. He asked for you." Logan didn't ask for more. He didn't wake. He canceled every meeting, called off the trip, and walked away from the biggest offer of his life without a second thought. By that evening, Logan was back. He looked exhausted from the flight, clothes wrinkled, eyes red, but there was fire in his steps. Judy met him in the lobby, her heart leaping the second she saw him. Before she could speak, he wrapped his arms around her and held her tight. "Where is he?" he asked. She led him to room 208. Henry was sitting up, propped on pillows, eyes focused on the doorway. When Logan stepped inside, everything stopped. Their eyes met. Neither spoke. The silence between them was full, but not with distance this time, with emotion, with memory. And then Henry slowly lifted a trembling hand. Logan crossed the room in 3 long strides and took it, gripping it like a lifeline. "I'm here, Dad," he whispered. "I'm here." Henry blinked slowly, lips dry and weak. "You sang?" Logan nodded, tears threatening. "I did. She taught me." His father's gaze shifted toward Judy, who stood quietly in the corner, wiping her eyes. Henry managed one word. "Thank you." Judy smiled through her tears. That night, after Henry had fallen asleep, Logan and Judy sat in the courtyard behind the building. The stars were out. The world felt soft, like it was holding its breath. "You didn't just bring him back, you brought me back too," Logan said gently. Turned her head to look at him. "You brought my father home, and with him you brought my heart home too." She leaned her head on his shoulder, and in the quiet of the garden, surrounded by flowers and starlight, they sat still, just breathing, just feeling, together.
Spring came slowly that year, like a song starting soft and rising gently. Room 208, once the quietest place in the care facility, was now full of life. There was laughter, soft music, the sound of footsteps and chairs being moved, small signs of something healing. Henry Raymond had come back from the silence, one day at a time. His hands still trembled, and his words came slowly, but the spark in his eyes was stronger than ever. He wanted to play again. So every morning he sat in the courtyard, a violin resting gently under his chin. He could only play for a few minutes at first, but even that was a miracle. Judy sat beside him on a folding chair, holding sheet music as the breeze tugged at the pages. She watched his fingers move across the strings, shaky but sure. And just a few steps away, Logan tuned his old acoustic guitar, fingers steady, expression calm. He didn't wear suits these days, not unless he had to. He still worked remotely now, helping businesses grow, but always made time for what mattered most. Music, his father, Judy. Together, they had built something new, something that felt like home. Judy had found her voice again too, not in smoky bars or busy clubs, but in rooms filled with tired souls and waiting hearts. She began teaching music therapy part-time, singing softly to dementia patients, helping them remember the parts of themselves they thought were gone forever. Every song was a gift, every note a small kind of light. One afternoon, she got an idea. "What if we put on a little concert?" she said, her eyes glowing. "Just something small, for the residents, a thank you, a celebration." Logan smiled. "Let's do it." And Henry? He simply nodded, eyes shining. They decorated the common room with paper flowers and hand-drawn signs. The banner above the chairs read, "An afternoon of music and miracles." The room filled quickly. Residents wheeled in, nurses took their spots, and the buzz of excitement hung in the air like electricity. Henry stepped onto the small stage, carefully, with help from a nurse. He stood straighter than he had in months, his violin tucked close like an old friend. Logan followed, guitar slung over his shoulder, and Judy stood at the mic in a simple white dress, her hair falling in loose curls. They opened with "Smile," the same song that had started it all. Henry's bow moved slowly, not with the speed of his youth, but with feeling so deep that it made the whole room lean in. Judy's voice was stronger now, warm, rich, and full of life. And Logan's quiet strumming held them both, a steady heartbeat beneath the melody. When the last note faded, there was a pause.
Then applause, loud and loving. Some people wiped their eyes. Others whispered, "That was beautiful." But it wasn't over yet. Judy turned to step back, but Logan stopped her with a gentle touch. "Stay," he whispered. He set down his guitar, reached into his jacket, and pulled out a small velvet box. The room went quiet. Judy froze, eyes wide. Logan dropped to one knee. "I wasn't sure what love was, not until I heard it in your voice, and the way you sang for my father, and the way you brought him and me back to life." He opened the box. Inside was a simple gold ring with a single blue sapphire. "You don't wear armor, you wear light, and somehow you lit up all the darkest corners of my life." Judy's hand flew to her mouth, tears spilling over her cheeks. "I don't need a stage," he said softly. "I just need you." He looked up at her, heart wide open. "Will you marry me?" The whole room gasped. Some nurses cried. One old woman whispered, "This is better than television." Judy laughed through her tears and nodded. "Yes, yes, of course." Logan stood and slipped the ring onto her finger. He held her close as the room erupted in cheers. From his chair, Henry stood slowly, wobbling, but with purpose. A nurse rushed to help, but he waved her off. Step by step, he crossed the room, and when he reached them, he took Judy's hand in one of his and Logan's in the other. And then he cried. Not from weakness, from joy. And when the applause rose again, it wasn't just for the music, it was for the miracle. For family, for love, for home.
Slowly now, carefully, but every note told a story. Judy sat beside him, her voice blending with the hum of spring. She wore her scrubs in the morning and taught music therapy in the afternoons, helping people remember who they were through lullabies and old love songs. The girl who had once packed her voice away was now sharing it freely with people who needed it most. And Logan had changed too. He no longer lived for deals or deadlines. He worked from a small office in the city, close enough to come home for lunch. His suit jackets were now paired with guitar straps, and his schedule always left room for Tuesday rehearsals and Friday dinners. That sunny morning in May, the three of them stood side by side again. Henry with his violin, Judy at the mic, Logan with his guitar. It was their second concert at the facility. This time, it wasn't just for the residents. It was for friends, families, staff, and new faces who had heard the story of a silent room turned into a place of miracles. They opened with Moon River, followed by What a Wonderful World and You Are My Sunshine. The crowd smiled, swayed, even sang along. Then Judy stepped forward, eyes shining, heart full, and said, "This next song is where everything began. A song we sang for one man, but it brought back three." She looked at Henry, then at Logan, then into the crowd, and softly she began. "Smile, though your heart is aching." Logan joined in, his voice still rough around the edges, but full of warmth. Henry's bow glided across the strings, filling the space between their voices. By the final note, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Judy wiped her cheek and laughed. She said, "We didn't think it would go this far, but it did. It went exactly where it was meant to." Later that day, after the guests had gone and the chairs were stacked in the corner, Logan found Judy in the garden, sitting quietly beneath a blooming cherry tree. He slipped beside her and took her hand. He said gently, "You know, sometimes I still think about that night, the first time I heard you sing." She smiled. "I had no idea you were listening." He said, "I was more than listening. I was waking up." She rested her head on his shoulder. "I don't think I believed in miracles before you, but now, every time you sing, every time I see him smile, every time I come home to you, I believe." She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. She said, "Logan, this is the only stage I ever wanted." They sat there in silence, their fingers intertwined. Behind them, through the open window, Henry's violin floated gently into the breeze, carrying the final note of a song that never really ended, just changed into something deeper. A love that didn't need spotlights, a home that didn't need walls, a future that sang in harmony. And as the sun slipped behind the clouds and the wind carried music through the garden, one truth remained. The greatest songs are the ones sung with the heart. And this story, was just getting started.